No,
Why do you say so?
because you can't say anything without someone either bashing you for something. You can't talk about income at work. You can't say anything because like if you say something on Twitter, you could get blocked. You can't speak about things at work because HR is gonna come in. There is not freedom of speech nowhere.
What's up, guys, and welcome to a new episode. Now, I have been doing this for long enough to know that people do not feel the most comfortable they possibly can whenever it comes time to them sharing their personal opinions or beliefs on certain issues or questions or topics that I might raise and bring up to them. And to be honest, I can't help but think that this is as a result of fear of them losing their friends, family, job opportunities they might be trying to get, deals they might be trying to make. You name it, anything. I think it's the fear of them saying the wrong things that might seem right to them, but not as right to other people. And if you do that in today's society, of course, that comes with a cost. At the end of the day, everyone has the right to share their own thoughts and concerns. So why are people feeling oppressed? A study from Cato Institute reports that 62% of Americans say they have political views they're afraid to share. 50% of strong liberals support firing Trump donors. 36% of strong conservatives support firing Biden donors. 32% are worried about missing out on job opportunities because of their political opinions. I'm not trying to make this all about politics. It could just as equally be about what you identify as yourself or what you think your values or the morals or values that you want to follow. That can also be challenged in today's society. I think that this is something everybody can relate to at some level. You've been in front of a camera sometime, or you've heard about the potential of being on camera and you be asked some certain question and you thought to yourself like, man, do I really want to put my answer out there and let my employer see this? I might lose my job if my opinion doesn't align with what, the mainstream media says or the mainstream culture says. I want everybody to engage with this video as we're asking people about what they think and if really we have free speech in America. Do you think there's free speech in America?
No,
Why do you say so?
because you can't say anything without someone either bashing you for something. You can't talk about income at work. You can't say anything because like if you say something on Twitter, you could get blocked. You can't speak about things at work because HR is gonna come in. There is not freedom of speech nowhere.
You did say something about Twitter just now. So those are like the social media platforms that take people off.
Yeah.
When you say something that goes off of what they're aligned with.
Yep.
Do you think that's them just protecting their platform because they want to promote what they want to promote and they don't want to promote what you're promoting? Because at the same time, it's a private company. So you come onto their platform and you say what they don't believe in, they have every right to kick you off. Do you think that's infringement on your right?
Yeah, I do. Even though it's a private company, then don't have it be something you can just post. Have it be pre-read ahead of time so it doesn't go out and then everyone else can come at you. Does that make sense?
You think so? Yeah, I get what you're saying. But at the same time, though, when you sign on to a social media platform, you do that, I agree to terms and, all of that stuff. So that is probably in there. Like on YouTube, it's definitely there. But when they take you out, though, it does feel like
they took away something from you.
Yeah.
But if it's a private company, that doesn't matter because even back in the day when we did newspapers and freedom of speech, that still got. So where are you supposed to have freedom of speech? If it's not the internet, it's not in the newspaper, it's not in the media. So where are we supposed to freely speak?
That's interesting. What is one way you've experienced your speech be limited? Like, you were at a point where you wanted to say how you truly felt, but you just had to hold yourself back because of fear of backlash.
At work all the time. Like if you want to talk to your coworker about a raise, you can't because then some HR is going to come in and not they didn't let us talk about it at a private company I work for in New York, and they did not like that anyone spoke about their income, how much each other made towards each other, because then we got pulled in a room and they were like, why are you discussing this? That's private. Like that's your own income. And it was like, what do you mean? Yeah.
Yeah, there is free speech.
For real?
Yeah.
Even after you say whatever you think and however you feel, but then you could lose your job after saying that. You could lose your friends after saying that. You have to follow the main narrative. If not, you're an outcast, basically. Do you still consider that free speech?
Yeah, free speech is the ability to be able to say something you want, right? The consequences you got to deal with what you say is a different matter. So you can't just say whatever, however, to whoever, and then think you're good because of free speech. You have to. There's boundaries you got to stick within. Do we have the ability to speak against it? Yeah, hell yeah, we do. Other countries have even less than we got. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think we have it. It's a spectrum, and it can be improved upon. Because look, if you take away responsibility for people's actions, you don't have free speech. You got chaos. That's the definition of chaos. So what you gonna do with chaos?
Interesting.
Absolutely not.
Why do you say so?
Even though there's an amendment right, you cannot speak, say, or do anything that you want, period. And probably more for us than anybody else, and I mean people of color.
Some people will argue, though, that you can say anything you want. There are just consequences that come with what you say. And you have to own up to, what you just said, really.
But if it's First Amendment, a free speech, why is it a consequence to what I say?
I guess the question is there really free speech when there's a consequence to it?
There is not.
What do you think free speech looks like, though? If there were to be free speech, what would it look like? Because if someone just came here and was like, for example, if a racist person walked up and they freely said how they felt, we expect that there should be consequences for their actions. So, having their consequences actually helps to mitigate some issues like that, So, like, if you're saying because the consequences are there, then that makes it not free speech. So, what makes it free speech? What does free speech?
I wouldn't say I'm different. I don't care what they say. So, I'm really different with that. Like, I don't care what they walk by and say. I'm gonna say it back. So, now the consequences, somebody gonna get mad in that confrontation, then it's some consequences. Then there's consequences.
Okay. So what does your free speech look like, though?
I'm probably the worst person. I free speech all day, every day.
Okay.
I don't whatever the consequence. To me, I don't care. I say what I want to, when I want to, how I want to.
Even where you stand politically, like you're not afraid to say where.
In front of a supervisor, a director, who I say what I say, regardless of what a consequence may be. I don't know if that's right or wrong, but why I can't say it? Why should it affect anything? If this is a country of free speech, why would it affect anything? I'm speaking my point.
So in my experience, I've had instances where I ask people like, hey, do you want to be on camera? I'm going to ask you this question about this, bam, bam. And then they're thinking like, do I really want this? Do I want my company manager to see this? Do I want my friends to see this? I don't want to lose my friends. All of those worries. So if you're thinking about that, because I'm going to ask you a simple question, do you think there's really free speech? Like, are you freely expressing yourself?
No, I guess because you're worried about what others think.
Yeah.
So then you limit what you really want to say just to appease other people.
So why or how have we come to create a society like that? Because that shouldn't be the norm.
It shouldn't, but that's a question I have no answer to because, the world, people are who they are, I guess. You can't even blame the world. It's us as humans. We're just so judgmental. We don't allow people to have their own opinions. We want to judge them for it and tell them they're wrong, and they're probably not wrong.
Are you familiar with social media apps?
Am I what?
Are you familiar with like different social media apps?
Some of them, yes.
Okay, like which one?
Well, I mean, obviously Instagram, Facebook. Okay. The basic ones.
All right.
Yes,
so
sir.
if you were to post something, let's say for example, your political opinion on Instagram, and Instagram considers that to be like outside of what the main media says, do you think that's them infringing on your right to free speech?
Absolutely. Absolutely. There are communications, being a black man, that you have to make the white man uncomfortable. And the white man controls the media. So, when you make them uncomfortable, you consider that as being infringing on their rights. When you talk about things that they do not want to talk about, as in taking books out of schools in Florida with the governor there, that's infringing on their rights. When I say that it's not right, okay? When I say that standing on George Floyd's neck is not right, on my social media page. And then you have those people like Tucker Carlson that feels as though that January the 6th didn't happen.
Yeah, but this is not really a. You might, if you want to make it about race, that's cool. But like, it's not really about race. It's just like, do you think that you should be able to express how you truly feel on social media without being censored? Like how they took off Trump off Twitter, you know, stuff like that. They took him off Instagram. They took certain people off platforms, and that is because they're like a private company, and they have the right to do that. But when are they crossing the line? Like, hey, like you're kind of infringing on my right now to free speech.
Okay. So when you speak of it that way, when you hear a person that speak as if though that there are some things that just did not happen, or that we're not sitting here talking, then no, I do not feel though that you're infringing on my rights, because I feel that there are so many things that's just black and white, and some people get on social media and realize and speak about things that's just not black and white.
Yeah.
And so that's just, I agree. There has to be some cut there.
So there has to be, you know, like, hey, what is okay and what is not.
Agree.
Okay.
I agree.
So do you feel, so what you're saying is you think that what social media might be doing by doing that is kind of infringement? Is that what you're saying or no?
No, I do not.
Oh, so you're saying it's okay?
It's okay with me.
Okay, to take them off their platforms or whatever
Right,
they're saying.
absolutely.
Okay. Do you feel free enough to share your personal beliefs and values with your friends or, you know, employers or, you know, anybody around you if you're asked a question?
The friends that I keep, yes. I feel like I'm very selective about the people that I am friends with and the employers that I pick, because if I can't share those things, even on a base level, then I have no interest in being around those kinds of people.
Yeah. Have you ever experienced a situation where you were in communication with someone who had very different opinions from yours and that went left?
For sure. I actually have a tattoo. During the George Floyd protests, I got a tattoo of ACAB on my arm. At the time, the person that I was dating, I didn't know, really was against that whole movement, and it caused an explosive argument, and it really slowly led to the end of our relationship. It's not always obvious when people don't have the same views as you, but I do think now that it's important to get that out in the open, just, you know, to avoid future conflict or misunderstanding.
Yeah, that was, and thank you for sharing that. That was really, really vulnerable for you to share. But speaking from the job world, the you know, the 9-to-5 world, or I don't know if you do 9 to 5, but basically what I'm saying is, how do you balance whenever your job has a different belief and value from yours? Like if they're making you work towards supporting a movement that you don't support, but you want to speak out about it, but you feel like you can't. How do you balance that? And would you eventually speak out on it?
Unfortunately, in this day and age, it's difficult to work for any major corporation ethically, because you never really know who your higher ups are or what they actually believe. You know what they put on paper and you know what they put in their ads. You don't actually know who they are as people. So it's kind of difficult in that way. But at the very least, I have no shame in taking advantage of a higher paying job that pays me more because they think that I believe a certain way. And I obviously work for a lot of upper class, rich, white men, and I feel no shame in being the kind of person that I am. I'm rather liberal leaning. I'm a bit apolitical. I don't really care about those kinds of things. I don't think there's anything wrong with working for people who aren't the best ethically, but if it's benefiting you as a person and you use your power where you can, because you can only affect so much as the person that you are, but outside of work, that's where I speak out.
Absolutely. Just because you mentioned your political leaning, you said you're liberal. Would you work for someone who's conservative?
If they paid me enough. That's the thing. It's almost impossible to work for any corporation or any boss that is truly ethically and morally upstanding. It's impossible to tell. So at this day and age, I do my work, my social work, and like the way that I use my voice is outside of when I'm on the clock. Whatever I believe on the clock and whatever I'm getting paid to do, that's what I believe in that moment. But as soon as I'm off the clock, that's when I can use my voice and the money that I'm earning to donate to organizations that maybe the people that I work for would disapprove of and things like that. And I think in a way that is in of itself a power.
You are actually dressed like a politician right now. So I'm going to ask you this. Do you feel free enough to share your political leanings to people, your friends, family, and employers?
Employees, yes. Depends on the company, I think. But for the most part, friends, yeah.
So you feel comfortable with telling people who you voted for, why?
Maybe, I don't know.
Maybe? Why maybe?
I don't know. I feel like in this political climate, like friendships can end sometimes, or I don't know, you might shoot yourself in the foot getting some job lineups. I feel like it's best to keep some things silent sometimes.
But why is that the case though? Why should that be the case? Why should that be the norm? Because at the end of the day, we all have free speech, so we should be able to freely say those things without having those backlash.
Legally, yeah, but unfortunately, people have biases. I don't think the country's like what it used to be, where we were all united by all being Americans. I think if you have the wrong beliefs, even if you're American, that's not enough nowadays. But I think a big problem people have is they focus too much on the people's solutions, right? Like, we all agree on a problem. However, if I have a different solution than someone, they might see me as being not as good as a person, even though, you know, we both agree on the problem. It's just we have different solutions. Like, we both agree that something's wrong. I don't see anybody as having, being a bad person because they have a different solution than me. We both agree it's a problem. I just have a different idea.
Do you think we will someday move past that and be free enough to share how we truly feel, especially in the political sphere, since we're, talking about that?
I don't know. I think things have been getting worse and worse. I hope so. I hope the pendulum kind of switches back. I think we're going very, very, in one direction, and I don't know. I feel like there's going to be either a breaking point where the pendulum breaks off or it swings back and we're back to being unified.
I mean, I do. I think people can say whatever they want. Now, I think it's difficult sometimes to get that message out to everybody.
Yeah. There are instances where people say what they want or how they truly feel, and then they end up losing their jobs, their friends, their family. Do you think that is still a sign of freedom?
It depends. I mean, it depends what they're talking about. I mean, if I were to say something horrible and embarrassing to somebody that I worked for, let's say, then I don't necessarily have a right to work there.
I mean, bring it back to personal values and beliefs. So if you were to say something that you want to happen in your household, for example, Kevin Hart said this in one of his jokes, that he wouldn't want his son to be gay, basically, is what he said. Yeah. And he got a lot of attack for that. And he was forced to apologize and stuff. Do you think there's really freedom of speech for you just saying how you feel about your personal beliefs and values and stuff that you hold on to?
I do. I mean, I know what I believe, I think is good things, and I would never try to say hurtful things or anything like that, and I try to be very inclusive to people. So, I don't feel worried about saying anything because I feel like that I would never say anything that would be hurtful to anybody.
I presume you have some values and some morals that you hold to very high standards, right?
Some days.
Yeah, okay, some days. Would you apologize if you were to share that to some people and they didn't like that? Would you apologize for saying that?
It depends what I was talking about, but in general, probably not. I think I would apologize that they were offended, but I can't think of what I would say that would require me to apologize for having that opinion. In my opinion, it's not so much about the sharing or the not sharing. It's in my opinion, it's about the information. So if their opinion is based on information that's not true or inaccurate, and we have a conversation about, well, let's check some facts here,
Well, I mean, yeah. Facts aside, though, like if I'm just saying, like, hey, this is how I was brought up, this is what I want to do in my own household.
So I don't think facts aside is ever a thing.
For real?
Yeah, for real.
Okay. Do you think that people have learned to agree to disagree?
Hell nah.
Nah?
No, I think that unfortunately, in this society, people have agreed to value signal as much as they possibly can, and just kind of like our politics in America, the more bifurcated we are, the more you find your group.
So that's very interesting, but allow me to go back to this point. So if I said that, in my own household, actually, if I said something that were to be my values and to be true to me, and I want that in my own household, but to someone else, they don't fuck with that, like they don't like that. Do you think me having consequences for what I just said is just
Depends.
like losing my job?
Well, oh no.
Like-
It depends what it is, in my opinion. Like, so if, like, for example, if you were to say, well, in my household, I like to shoot up my baby with heroin. It's kind of what, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Okay.
It really does depend what we're talking about.
Okay, so if I said, oh, in my own household, I'll make sure my daughter doesn't get my daughter doesn't get an abortion, my wife doesn't get an abortion, we don't believe in abortion.
In my opinion, that's between you and your daughter and your wife.
Yeah, but to some other external people, they take that on as their personal issue.
That is their personal issue. I guess they would have to then contact their legislative representative, you know what I mean, and deal with it in terms of courts and so on and so forth. But
yeah, but that's how the world works now. So do you think if they were to take that on and, want to punish me for saying that, do you think that is just like losing my job, losing my friends, losing my money, everything I've worked for, the cancel culture, basically?
like, when did you say it though? Like, did you say it in the middle of a business meeting, or like in front, like when it was totally irrelevant? You know what I mean? Like,
no.
that's what I'm saying. Like, context,
Oh, okay,
context does
Context-
actually matter.
Okay, what if I said that in my own home, but it just went out? Or I'm saying it on YouTube right now.
Well, I think that unfortunately, employers can come up with lots of reasons to get rid of you, even though this is the real reason.
Why does it work like that? I thought we have free speech. Do you think we have free speech?
No.
Who?
No.
We don't.
No.
Damn.
No.
No, of course we don't. All right, guys, and this brings me to the end of this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed this and you were able to interact and have conversations amongst yourself if you're at home, the office, wherever you might be. Stay tuned for next week's episode. And so please comment down below. I want to know, do you think there's truly free speech in America or wherever you're located in your country? Just let me know, all right? And as I always say, please, let's stop violence. Use your words as opposed to your weapons to resolve issues you might have with your friends and family. Until next time, guys. Love you guys. Stay safe.